Welcome back. We are now going to work with contrasting color. Right now we have a black and white poster, and that's all we have. Now we could take a look at, if I hold down my shift key, I can choose reference and guide at the same time. I'm going to move over here to swatches, and I'm going to hit the color red. You can see I've now created a package with reference and guide by making them the same color, and nothing else is this color. If you're going to stick with just black and white, if you have a budget of a very tiny budget and you can only print in black and white, you can't print in color, you can always use variations of gray, which are percentages of black. So tints essentially of black. In this particular case, we have full advantage of color. So this is my reference guide. I'm going to make this red. Graphic design principles. I'm going to make them gray. Marketing 1050. So I'm just going to start playing around with some colors. And the reason why I'm creating, so Carolyn McLeod, they're relatable, right? It's my first and last name, so I've made them the same color. So in contrast to these other things, I can create packages of information using the proximity principle, and I can, by how do you see that visually? Well, you've created contrast in color. If we want contrast in text here, because this word contrast, visually we want to represent contrast, we can actually change the font. So instead of a heavy, bold font, we can go with something like American Typewriter. It's definitely contrasting. So visually, the word contrast is contrasting. So you can definitely see an obvious contrast between this text and this text. So we have now visually represented the word contrast by changing the font. For some of these other ones, there are some other things that we can do. I want MKT and 2017 to be relatable even though they're separated by space, so I'll make them the same color. If I want that to be relatable to reference guide, I could make it red. So you can see how you can create a relationship between items even though they're separated by space by simply making them the same color. Alignment, I think I'm going to work with different colors of gray. And repetition. I want to make these all different colors of gray, and I could do it manually like so until I run out. Let's see. That's the same color. There we go. So you can take advantage of this gradient here. Now, there are other things that we can do for color. And maybe I want Carolyn and McLeod, maybe I want them to be in the blue realm. So I do have other blues here. Or I can do something, whoops, crazy, like use tints and shades of the same color. So right now I have what's called a primary color scheme. I have yellow, red, and blue. And I'm using shades of black. I actually think I'll change this back to black. There we go. So we have some good contrast in our text. But something else that I can do here is I can not just use these swatches here, but we do have a color guide, which, and if any of these menus disappear or options here disappear, or if your tools disappear, you've accidentally clicked this little X, you can always find them under your window menu. So I'm going to show you the color guide. And what I like about this color guide is whatever color you have chosen, so see this red that shows up here, if I click on that little red box in the color guide, it now gives me tints and shades, so lighter and darker, But if you click on this tab, this harmony rules at the right hand side, this starts working on our color theory. We have complementary colors, so opposites attract. You have analogous colors, which means 3 colors side by side on the 12-point color wheel. We have triads and tetrads, harmonies here. So there are all these different kinds of harmonies you can pick. So maybe you decide to pick a harmony, a color harmony, based on color theory that can be applied to your reference guide. So then that gives you a different level of color theory on your cover. So not only are you using the design principles, you're also using color theory and creating a whole other level of complexity to this cover, but still keeping it very simple to look at. And so I'm going to end this here with my poster. As you can see, it was very quick. There really wasn't a lot to do here except to make sure that everything was aligned. So we dragged some guides on and we put all our text on. Now you can have a lot more fun with this. I have seen lots and lots of different variations of this poster. And so you can rotate things, you can flip things around. I mean, why does everything have to be square? Why can't I take these elements and do this instead? Why not? It's your typography poster. So just make sure you have everything aligned. So now we've used the alignment and we've changed that in order to create contrast as well. So I'm going to save this. Again, I've already saved it as a .ai, but if I really want to and I want to make sure, I can do save as again. Go to my desktop, there's my reference guide cover.ai and hit save. Yes, I'll replace it. So yes, I had saved it before. I'll click OK on this window. But now I need one that's going to work on my reference guide cover, so I need to save what's called an EPS file, an encapsulated postscript. It's going to preserve all of this great line art filled with color. Notice no matter how far I zoom in, it never breaks down. It's not made up of pixels. It's made up of line art filled with color. And so I'm going to file save as. This time I'm going to save it as an EPS file, encapsulated postscript, which will be the file type that I will be placing on my reference guide cover in InDesign. This window allows us to save a transparent background, which means this white background on our page won't be visible. That's great for logos and things that we create on this page, but in this particular case, I actually want to keep the white background, so I'm going to make it opaque in this window. This is the only time that you would really need to do anything in here, is if you want transparent. So it's for a logo or a piece or an illustration that you're going to be placing on top of another image, so you want to see the image around it, or you choose opaque in order to preserve the white background created by the page. Okay, everything else here is okay. We'll click OK. We've now saved. Don't forget to save these files to your G drive, and we'll be placing this EPS file in our reference guide.